A spectacular performance. Curry from half court. Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here, the 3 Points Podcast, back after a slightly longer than usual delay. Sincere apologies on our end, but it was the holiday season. While we were gone, the Warriors played 4 games. They won 3 of them. One of the better stretches of Warriors basketball. This was it 5 games? I'm being told it was 5.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we won 4 of them. What the heck just happened? Sorry, I'll have to cut that section out. My fucking laptop just launched. My laptop just launched Microsoft Team. Bitch ass Microsoft, bro. Fucking Steve Ballmer. He's not even the CEO anymore. But anyways, one of the better stretches of Warriors basketball this season, with maybe the exception of the first few weeks. We were playing some cupcake teams, so can't take too much away from it. But it's been nice to see some consistent winning happening. It is kind of noticeable that the one game we did lose was to the best team out of the 5 that we played, the Toronto Raptors. An absolute heartbreaker, by the way. I definitely watched that game. I'm not just talking about the play-by-play that I'm looking at right now. And yeah, I guess it's intro for today. Something going on with the Warriors.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of start off with the first game in order is the Orlando Magic. I think throughout this whole 5-game stretch, I think that the thing that stuck out to me most is that we do look like a completely different team when certain guys are playing. Like when we put the best guys out there in terms of size, I think that's when our team is like at its best. So guys like Trace and Guy Santos, we truly look like a different team when they're out there. Like our team hums like it should when they're out there. Toronto, like you said, was the one game we lost, and that's also the same game that Trace and Guy both got DNPs. So I feel like I don't like hate on Steve Kerr too much because I feel like he does get a lot of hate. Some of it might be deserved, but regardless, I think like the one thing you could take away is that the Warriors are a small team and that they're showing guys that it should be a no-brainer that they get minutes just because of the size they provide.
I guess speaking of smaller players, how about Brandon Pajemski? He was public enemy number 1 for the Warriors fan base for this podcast, for me personally. And he kind of deserved it earlier in the season. He had one of probably the worst stretches of his young career, especially in the month of November. It was pretty tough to watch, but he's turned it around a little bit, I have to say. And I think really early on in the season, I think maybe it was even in the episode recorded before the season had started, I made the point that one of the things for Pods going forward is that he's probably going to have to be a full-time 2, and that he's better at the 2, is more comfortable at the 2, is more comfortable playing. And I think he's really been kind of flashing that kind of upside over these last few games. And it's something that was there in prior seasons and had kind of disappeared. The ability to hit, shots, moving off of screens, the ability to cut into space and then play make off of cuts, and just generally the ability to move in space and kind of operate within the flow of the offense, the instincts, all that stuff, offensive rebounds, attacking the glass, coming from outside the 3-point line to get offensive boards. And when he is playing like this, I think it's safe to say that he's actually probably a pretty damn good value when you consider the fact that he's only getting paid like $3.5 million a year. And I would go so far as to say if we're thinking again to the trade deadline, which is where Warriors fans' minds have kind of been all season, I don't think I want to send him off with the way that he's been playing recently. And I know that this is insanely hypocritical because it's just super flip-floppy, because I was literally like a month ago saying you just have to get rid of him, for whatever value he has now before he's out of the league. I was kind of thinking, like, I know I said he was a Talen Horton Tucker. Maybe he's not a Talen Horton Tucker. Maybe he's more like a Jose Alvarado. Like, comes onto the scene, everybody's like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, he's like, unorthodox play style, short guy doing all this. And it turns out, like, is he really, a superstar in the making? Not really, but he's not that bad. That's kind of where I am with Pods. I guess I'll throw it back to you quickly. That was just the first number one thing that was on my mind over these last few games.
No, it's definitely a good point. I think like he's definitely it's kind of weird with Pauls because he definitely goes up and down and it kind of just ebbs and flows with his shooting. Like he's had a great shooting stretch this past 5 games, like especially today against the Hornets. He's
Yeah.
able to be that third option that like it can kind of be anyone on any game. But he's kind of consistently been able to be like a 3/4 option for us throughout the whole season, which is really good. I wouldn't say he's untradeable. Like he's definitely proven that he's a rotational player. But I feel like as Warriors, we should be able to, or should be willing to sell anyone. But it's definitely good that he's kind of proven that he's worth kind of playing. It's just kind of unfortunate, like certain lineups don't really emphasize his strengths sometimes. But I mean, he's definitely proving that he's a better. He can provide more than just like connected stuff. Like he can actually shoot pretty well. He can provide off the dribble a bit, and that's something that wasn't really there last year, and it's something he's just kind of worked on over time. So it's definitely kind of good. I mean, something I also do want to touch on is, I mean, I mentioned the names of he and Trace, and I don't know if we, I guess, really touched on them too much last episode, but they're definitely guys that in that Orlando game, I think were key to. I think Paolo was kind of overrated, anyways, but he was able to kind of ensure that we didn't have to double team a guy like him against the Toronto Raptors. Both Trace and Gee would have been huge because that's kind of their whole game is just being like having these two big forwards, Scotty and Brandon Ingram, that can kind of just bully most people. And it's not like he doesn't get scored, wouldn't get scored on, but he's like one of the perfect defenders for those kind of guys. Just a big guy that doesn't really get back down. It would force BI to just become a pure mid-range shooter, which that's kind of his thing, but it kind of takes away the easy stuff for him. Takes away a lot of what Scotty's game is. I mean, I'm pretty sure Scotty had like the Toronto Raptors franchise record in rebounds or something. He had like 25 rebounds against us, which is
Yes, he literally did, which is
yeah,
insane.
like that's a lineup thing, but that's also like I don't know, that is just kind of impressive that he's just kind of that good. I mean, he's only rebounding over like 6'6", 6'7" Draymond Green as our center, so that's a little bit of an asterisk, but still like super impressive. And I feel like we could have been on a 5 game winning streak right now had because that was like one of the closest games ever, and they kind of blew it open in overtime. Like it was kind of obvious in overtime with the lineups who were playing. I'm pretty sure it was some lineup with Steph and Jimmy at center and power forward, so that really stood no chance. I mean, that was the lineup that kind of cost us the lead in the first place. Like I was telling I was telling my family that I feel like the Warriors should treat like in order to try to prevent some of these comebacks, they should treat the first half of the fourth quarter like it's the end of the fourth quarter because it seems like a lot of time we have lead going into the fourth and we just kind of get lax. And then by the time we sub in the closing lineup halfway through, it's kind of too late and the other team already has momentum. And like whether we win or not, that's just kind of the case sometimes. I feel like we lose that sense of urgency until it's too late. And then at that
Yeah, I
time,
mean it definitely feels like the Warriors they're so comfortable playing these down to the wire clutch games and they're so comfortable with every game coming down to the last possession that they kind of like welcome it. You don't get the sense that they care too much about whether the lead is like 10 or 1 or like -2 going into the last 2 minutes because they're just like, look, we're just gonna pull it out. And it's kind of a testament to again, to Steph and to the Warriors core over like the past 5 years that they've managed to kind of eke out a living doing this over and over and over, close game after close game after close game. Like obviously, this is a team that's very capable of pulling through in those situations, and that is something that is good. But at the same time, man, it gets really, really old. Now, I did not watch this game, but
the Hornets
I
game.
don't think I have to just look at the play by play and notice like, oh my God, the Warriors came all the way back to take a lead and then gave up a last second bucket to send it to overtime and then got blown out in overtime. Like that's a horrible way to lose a game. That's a horrible way to lose a game, and we've seen so many. I mean, this is now at this point, I think like the second or third time just this season that I'm complaining about this, but we've seen so many of these types of games over the last 4 or 5 seasons. And you just what has to be done to turn this into a normal team that's capable of A, closing out big leads when they have them, and I guess B, I don't know, just like not getting into this mentality where, they only look like they start trying when it comes down to the last 5 minutes. I don't know. Maybe it's just correlation doesn't equal causation thing. Like I'm projecting this onto them because they keep getting into these close games, but it does feel like the energy level doesn't really pick up until, oh, it's like it's 105, 103, 2 minutes left, and it's like, okay, now we're trying.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely get that
And
vibe.
I do think again, like as it's a lot of the same stuff that we've always pointed to. It's like, well, older guys, the energy level isn't going to be there, for the full 48 minutes. Smaller team, they get gassed, and when you get gassed, that's when you give up comebacks. Um, and so maybe this isn't like an easily fixable problem, but still, it's just frustrating to see. Uh, and it does kind of keeps you on your toes, 'cause even in a game like the Brooklyn game, that game. I mean, yeah, the score like okay, 120, 107. You say, yeah, that was like a comfortable win. No, it wasn't. That game came down basically to the wire. And
Hmm.
again, like the Warriors, they out executed. I mean, the Nets are hopeless on the offensive end. They out executed them easily. But like, god damn, why was that game within 5 with 2 minutes left to go? This is the Brooklyn Nets. The
Hmm.
Warriors are theoretically this is a team that's the Warriors are trying to compete for a championship. That's their
Yeah,
stated goal. How are you? Why? Why are you? Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. And it does kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth, even when you get the win.
yeah, yeah.
When you do something like that against a team as bad as the Nets are.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to your point about like that's like that kind of hits the nail on the head is that we are just an old team, so the effort's not going to be there. We get complacent, slash guys have been there before. Like Jimmy has won, Dre and Steph have won at the highest level. So like, who really cares if we kind of don't keep our foot on the gas the entire time? But I feel like that's why you kind of have to like Steve Kerr should try to implement like or give these younger guys some more minutes so that I mean, in a way, I mean, guys like Guy Sanchez, I think should get so much more minutes. Like he should not be getting any DNPs. Like he's a guy that is willing to give 110% every single minute that he's out there. Like rebounding, his presence is huge. You're able to. I'm even fine with Steve Kerr. I mean, I messaged this in the Discord, and you agreed with me. Is that I feel like those four guard lineups are or three guard lineups are pretty piss poor unless I mean, especially with Draymond at center, unless you have a guy like Gee that can kind of be by that secondary rim protection, secondary rebounding behind Draymond, because when it's just Draymond out there with Jimmy, who's really a guard slash forward, like he's not supposed to be playing up to that power forward. The rebounding is really, really like so bad. So I think just a guy like
Yeah,
Easton should be getting way more minutes into this team would
I mean,
be
Geet,
something to
and as you're pointing out, like 16 minutes today plus 15 in those 16 minutes. Now again, when you're talking about when we need to play this guy more, like the question is always who are you playing instead? Who are you playing this guy instead of? Now for me personally, I would say when you really look up and down the roster, it does get kind of difficult. You know, okay, Pods, Melton, like Will Richard, Horford, Gary Payton, Pat Spencer, Trace Jackson Davis. These are all guys that I think at some point this season, we or maybe somewhere from out there has said, well, he needs to play more. Like every single one of these guys up and down the rotation, based on whether they've been hot or cold, is a guy that somebody said, like maybe we should think about giving him, 20 minutes a game.
yeah.
Um, like I think like for like the way that it was balanced today, for example, where like Gee gets 16 minutes, Trace gets 5, like that's fine. Does also feel like a guy whose value kind of diminishes the more minutes he plays because his game is so predicated on energy and hustle.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
obviously the Warriors need energy and hustle on the boards, and they also need his size on the boards. But like for me personally, like the way that it was managed today, I think that's more than reasonable. 20 minutes a game of Gee, I don't know. Because what does unless he's going to magically transform into like a 37% three-point shooter instead of, a 31, 32% three-point shooter, I'm just not sure you can justify that much of a bigger role for him. Maybe over Gary Payton. That's the one guy I'd say, well, because their skills, especially now that Gary's like perimeter defense has really started to wane, their skill sets do overlap a lot because Gary is, energy, hustle, plays above his size on the glass, etc. Kind of a situational spot up three guy. I can see that. maybe
Yeah,
Gary Payton, takes the hit, but he's also one of Kerr's guys, so I doubt that's happening.
yeah. I think that's a fair point. Like I probably shouldn't get too high on certain guys. I feel like Spurs should somehow get away from. And we do have a lot of good guards. Like I think Brandon is a rotational player. D'Anthony Melton's a rotational player. Steph obviously. Seth when he comes back will be a rotational player. I feel like Pat Spencer. I
Will
think
he?
Seth.
I mean, in this, I don't know, man.
We'll see. I guess or Will Richards is another guy that is like
Yeah,
two. So I think he should get. He's also shown great flashes. I just feel like you should. The worst problem this season, whenever we have been getting beat in a frustrating way, like when it's the most frustrating is when like Steph is having he's playing incredible and we're still struggling a lot. And I think that's because of size. So like in the Toronto game, that was kind of the whole problem is that Steph is electric. Like he had 39 points on pretty solid efficiency, I want to say, yet we were still um struggling a lot. And I think that's just for the size, unfortunately. So I think
yeah.
it just depends on the lineups. Like obviously he should not be getting starter minutes, but I definitely think he should not be getting any DNPs. Just because he kind of injects just a level of energy that the Warriors don't otherwise have, even with these guards that maybe on paper are better players, but in the Warriors system, I think Gee's value is just a little bit better. Still, um, let's
Yeah.
see.
No,
Anything
I mean, I
else?
know, I just want to say, like, I definitely agree, and I think the DMPs. I'm sorry, was I lagging?
No, you're good.
Wait, okay, never mind. But I just wanted to say really quickly, I think the DMPs earlier this season were pretty, like, looking back on that, considering the way that he's been playing now, that was pretty stupid. I just don't think you can really justify the fact that that continued for like 2 months when it's clear that at least in these small bursts he does provide a ton of value. And I also the one other thing that I would add is that like unfortunately, I mean when you look up and down the roster and the lack of size, this conversation is going to continue probably till the end of the season in the playoffs. I mean, if we're being on, even at the trade deadline, if we go out and get a big or like a bigger wing or something, you still just have so many guys who are relative to the league or undersized at their position. Like this is just going to continue to be an issue.
Yeah, true.
But anyways, yeah, like go on, continue with your segue.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on that point, actually, you said could potentially trade for Big Four. We did get to see one of those guys that the Warriors has been in a lot of conversations, rumors about the Warriors maybe getting. One of those guys is Trey Murphy, but we didn't get to see him. But I'm talking about Michael Porter Jr. So what have you thought about his game? Obviously, we like in my opinion, or prior to kind of seeing him play in Brooklyn, where he has kind of a larger role, I kind of only knew him as like a just a pure spot up, like kind of his role in Denver, which is just catch and shoot. And he's one of the best at that. He also provides great rebounding because of his size, just naturally being 6'10", just bigger than most guys, especially at his position. I'm trying to kind of curious, like, what do you think? Do you think he would be a great addition to the Warriors? I'm pretty
I
sure
mean,
his
yeah, I
contract
mean,
is
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
for like, I guess I'll just go like, for starters, yes. I mean, I think obviously, I mean, even like setting aside, okay, what's the package, what's his role, etc. Obviously, he is a massively positive player, especially with how well that he's been playing in Brooklyn. It's clear that his role in Denver, although obviously he was a valuable member of a championship team, he knew his role, he played it. I think it's pretty clear with the way that he's been playing that he was kind of being hampered and kind of shoehorned into this, uh, off the ball, like purely floor space role when he can really do a lot more than that. And it's been nice getting to see him kind of flash that in Brooklyn and turn himself into a clear one of the biggest targets this trade deadline. He is so smooth pulling up both off the dribble and on the catch and shoot. I mean, he is just a guy you can contest him, but you can't really contest him. And that's really all the truly great shooters in the league are like that. Uh, there's almost something a little bit I want to say KD-ish about his jumper, where he kind of has that lean back a little bit, combined with the high release point, where it's just like you get a hand up, it doesn't matter. Like it's whether he decided to make it or miss it.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I think I don't want to like say because again, we're talking in the realm of of hypotheticals. I think he might be the number one target for the Warriors. When you consider the fact that, in addition, obviously, to adding a ton of shot making to this team, In fact, I'd probably go so far to say that he would probably become like the 2A and Jimmy would be the 2B, given that Jimmy's clearly more comfortable at this stage in his career being in a slightly more passive kind of, pass first, create for others type of role. Um, when you combine that, the shot making with the fact that you would add a legitimate there's an element of size. He is 6'10", and he plays the three. He could play the four. I mean, maybe Kerr's like he's playing the five, but theoretically he would play the three or the four. Um, he is active on the glass. He's not exactly, he's not like Wilt Chamberlain out there, but he's active on the glass. He boxes out. He's a guy who's a threat to crash in, from beyond the 3-point line for offensive rebounds. Uh, that's another element that I think he would really bring that Trey Murphy wouldn't. And like to the point you were making with P. Santos and the problems with the small lineups, etc. I think that is really a point in MPJ's favor when it comes to trade targets, and I think that would, to me, that kind of puts him maybe like half a tier above Trey Murphy in terms of how much impact he would have on the Warriors. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you kind of exemplified or you kind of exhausted
Chat
all the
GBTS.
positives. Oh,
He said Chat GBTS response, but
great idea. 100%. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only thing that kind of makes me hesitant, I'm not really sure how trades work, to be honest, but he's making like 38 mil, whereas I want to say Trey Murphy is making almost exactly what Kuminga's making. Let's see. Because otherwise, I'm pretty sure we would have to give up Kuminga plus Moody plus. I mean, I'm fine with that just to get Michael Porter because I think he is
yeah,
the better.
and
He would be getting the best player in the
yeah,
trade. But
I think it would have to be either a Heald or Horford for salary filler,
oh,
which isn't exactly the end of the world. So,
yeah, that's actually the beginning of a new frontier. If you get rid of Buddy Hield,
bro,
get
I'm
rid
not
of
gonna lie, Buddy Hield's one of those guys. I feel like the winning starts when he leaves. Even
yeah,
like even him getting DMPs is not like enough. And he just needs to be kind of off there. Like the bad vibes need to be gone. Like I don't want to have him on the roster.
100%. By the way, Trey Murphy is making like 25 mil, which is like almost it's closer to what Kaminga's make. Kaminga's making like 22.5. So
Yeah, I mean that's the incredible
you
thing
know,
about the Murphy deal is that it would literally be Kaminga plus picks. You don't even have to give up like any other member of the rotation because their salaries match so perfectly. That's one of the reasons why he's been talked about so much. But
although to be
I don't
honest,
know.
I would kind of prefer to get rid of some other guys, like you said. Buddy, I think is a addition by subtraction type of player. Like just having him gone. Same with Kaminga. Like I think we just kind of got to get rid of those negative vibes.
Yeah, I mean
Although
exactly.
like I would take Trey Murphy, but yeah, Michael Porter Jr. would actually be like a dream come true. I feel like because that kind of addresses our size somewhat. Although I'm kind of curious what this would it be Steph, Jimmy, Michael Porter Jr., Dre, then QP? Or what do you think of the
Probably.
starting lineup? Okay. So then
And
we
again,
have
because it's
actually a decent size.
yeah, and obviously because it's the Warriors, like you're always gonna have some lineups for Dre center because Kerr is always going to. And I don't think it's the end of the world necessarily, especially if you're playing like if you're playing Jimmy and MPJ alongside him, like those are both guys who are gonna play above their like maybe not MPJ play above us because he's 6'10", but those are both guys who are gonna be legitimate threats on the glass at least and can mitigate
True.
some of the size disadvantage that you have with Draymond at center. But yeah, I mean, I think the starting lineup would definitely be the one that you threw out.
Yeah, and I feel like yeah, Michael Porter Jr. trade gives us a higher ceiling than the Trey Murphy. Like Trey Murphy, that's it feels like more of a lateral move than the Michael Porter Jr. trade, just because Michael Porter Jr. he has that potential to get super hot and he definitely provides more, just obviously more size, more rebounding, which is pretty key. I feel like Trey Murphy does not really provide much on the rebounding. I mean, defensively,
Yeah, that's
he
the
does
other.
feel more like a lateral. But
Yeah, but you do have to account for the fact that, like, when you're saying defensively, Trey Murphy, hands down, better perimeter defender than MPJ is. MPJ, I mean, maybe not a true like bona fide negative, but he's not really positive defensively. He is, I mean, he has obviously the back stuff. Like, he's not as fluid of an athlete as he once was. Um, and to be honest, he's a guy who has had some questions about defensive effort, in energy, motor, etc.
mhm,
Trey Murphy is a like legitimate, maybe not
positive.
all defense level guy, but he's a positive. He's
Okay.
somebody you can put on a quality perimeter player and say, okay, like that's your matchup for tonight.
Okay. So
And that
that
is,
makes it interesting.
yeah, it's like kind of it's a tough. And it is, and what I keep coming back to is a little silly to do this when we don't know if either of these guys are even in the cards for us, but it's interesting to think about. I guess while we're on the topic, by the way, another name that's now being thrown around in connection to the Warriors is
Claxton.
Anthony Davis.
No.
Anthony Davis. People are saying, well, if you were able to use one of Jimmy or Draymond's salary, depending on what kind of Warriors fan you are, you could make it work. And then at that point, who knows? You know, he's a
Yeah.
guy whose trade value is seriously diminished. It's probably only going to take one or two firsts because of all the injury concerns and because of the age. We all know what a force he is defensively. We all know that he kind of matches up like perfectly with all of the Warriors' weaknesses. At the same time, though, he's Anthony Davis. So I mean, do you make anything of that?
No, I mean, to be honest, I feel like my position is that our big rotation is not really even that bad. I mean, it's not like obviously we don't have any stars at the center position, but I don't think that's really what's holding us back. I think we just need a pretty solid wing, which is why I'm pretty in love with like either Trey Murphy or Michael Porter Jr. Anthony Davis, like obviously he's better than Jimmy. Like he's better than Jimmy or Draymond. So, from that perspective, we are upgrading our secondary star. But I just feel like that's not really where our rotational weakness is. It's more at the wing position. Like right now we're running out Moody at the wing or Will Richard at the wing, or I mean just a bunch of guards at the wing, that's kind of what leads to our undersize um that major problem in our lineup. So I just feel like either one of Trey Murphy or any wing is more addresses the problem with our lineup more than getting a secondary star like AD. Not that like obviously AD 10 times the player that either of those guys are, but I don't think it really addresses the weakness. And I feel like this team doesn't really get much better on the whole by getting AD through either of those, like Jimmy or Draymond as a avenue. I don't know. What do you think about that
I no, I mean,
perspective?
I generally agree, and that's why, like whenever I've seen that kind
By
of
the way, not to
narrative,
mention the injury
yeah, I
concerns
mean,
of AD.
obviously. Yeah, I mean
So,
that's one of those narratives I've tuned out, but it's kind of worth mentioning because it's being pushed pretty heavily. I feel like by national media, maybe not so much by Warriors fans, but definitely national media. I mean, obviously like, oh, Anthony Davis and Steph, like that's gonna get clicks. So
mhm.
um
Yeah, true.
I did see like a few credible reports that suggested the Mavs had actually reached out to the Warriors about it, but I haven't seen anything that suggests the Warriors are interested, so I doubt it's gonna happen anyways. It felt like something worth mentioning. Trying to think. I think that's, aside from, kind of mini little win streak or win stretch, winning stretch, and kind of the trade rumors, that's mostly all that's been going on in Warriors land.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about something. I mean, now that we're talking about Mavs, there's like PJ Washington. There's another wing that Daniel Gafford, another wing slash center that would be nice to pursue. But yeah, I mean, if there's no rumors around it
Gafford
to real grounds, then
Gafford would be very interesting. I think he's 100% going to be gone. Like clearly, he's a guy like he's going to be on a different team, some different team. Same time though, he's a pretty limited player, like total non-shooter. Not a major threat on offense really in any way. Because even as a rim runner and stuff, he's not like in the elite. Like Derek Lively is much better, but on defense, very quality rim protector. Killer on the boards, absolute menace on the boards. So like he would be interesting.
yeah,
But I don't know. Like I think you would also have questions like, could he play in the Warriors system where he's being expected to, play make out of the short roll and stuff?
yeah,
And
true.
he's somebody. It's like okay, like a few years ago, I was really pushing heavily for him, like the trade deadline where the Mavs actually traded for him. But I think now he's a few years older, and I think our needs are different this time around. PJ Washington would be interesting, but I think he actually can't be traded because he was signed recently,
Oh,
like this offseason. I'm pretty
okay,
sure.
that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting. I guess I just want to talk about Michael Woodring because we played him. It's kind of the first time I
yeah.
actually seen
No,
one of
he's
our
I
trade
mean,
targets play.
he looks the part of like a legit number two at least option in this
Hmm.
league,
Yeah.
which is would be really nice, would be interesting.
Something I also think we should touch on as various sports fans is the Niners. Do you want to talk about the Niners
How about the
making a Cinderella
goddamn
run?
Niners? Bro, I need to so let's just say like for let me paint the picture. I mean, if you're by the way, if you're a basketball fan who follows the words, whatever, like doesn't follow the Niners, like you need to start following the Niners right now because they're about to win the Super Bowl. But anyways, Kyle Shanahan, who has now been the Warriors coach for almost a decade, which is insane. I was literally in middle school when this guy got hired. I remember it's kind of crazy. It makes me feel very old. But this is a guy who has been nothing but a goddamn winner since the moment that he was the Niners head coach. It's not entirely true. He was oh shit, we only have 10 minutes left. All right, I gotta get this whole
No
rant off.
worries.
Gotta get this whole rant off. First
The
season, okay, was
timeline.
losing. Since then, with basically bargain bin fucking ingredients, he's been nothing but a winner. And every offseason, Warriors or I'm sorry, I'm so used to writing about the Warriors. Niners fans, dumbass Niners fans, who said, "Do we? Is it time to have a conversation about Kyle Shanahan? Are we sure that Kyle Shanahan is the guy who can take this team to the next? Blah 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 blah." This guy has literally done nothing but win, win, and win some more. And what he has done this season with every single fucking player of any quality on the Niners roster missing at least 4 to 5 games, if not basically the entire season, in the case of Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, has been magnificent. It's been remarkable. Not only does he deserve Coach of the Year, I think he deserves a 20-year, $200 million extension. But whatever would make him the highest paid coach by double, he needs to get that the head coach of the Niners for the rest of my natural life, which is probably impossible because he's probably going to die at some point before me, hopefully. But for the rest of his
Mm.
natural life, at least, um, I mean, it is mind-boggling. I thought the Niners were literally. I didn't say it out loud, but I legitimately, when Fred Warner went down, I thought the Niners would probably miss the playoffs because I thought our defense was going to be so bad. We're going to get we're going to be like the Bengals or the Cowboys or this team that's always in shootouts and gets a lot of national TV games, but always ends up losing because their defense sucks. But no, we've just kept winning. And when you look at the recipe, it's ball control. It's an offense that rarely turns the ball over, that keeps the ball for long periods of time, that's able to, even though our run efficiency has not been great, is able to run with enough regularity and enough consistency, getting 3, 4, 5 yard gains that we can set up the play action, hit little dink and dunk passes over the middle, and keep the ball away from our defense. The way that Kyle Shanahan has arranged this offense to kind of play so perfectly into the fact that our defense is really a liability. Yet another masterclass. Um, I cannot say enough about how good this guy is at his job. I feel like he is. You take any job in the nation, like trash collector or whatever, like McDonald's, cashier. He is better at his job than any other person is at theirs. Nuclear scientist, I don't know, like congressman, whatever. He's that good at coaching football at an NFL level. And I just cannot wait. I cannot wait for the Niners to whoop the Seahawks ass this Saturday night. That's going to be a great game for Niners fans, for Seahawks fans. Don't bother to tune in. Um, and I cannot wait for the Niners to get the 1 seed, and I cannot wait for them to get home field advantage all the way to the goddamn Super Bowl and win it in Levi's Stadium because we know that's what's happening. Fred Warner is going to come back in the NFC Championship. It's basically confirmed. I mean, literally storybook like this. Literally, you make a movie about that kind of season, going from basically like what was it, like a 6% chance of getting the 1 seed to winning your 5 last games. You needed to win every single one of them, by the way, to be in this position, winning every single one of them, including 2 absolute thrillers against good teams, to getting a home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl. That is literally storybook movie stuff. It's been a wonderful season to be a Niners fan. I really hope that they can pull through and make it happen this season because it would be. I don't want to disrespect the Warriors at all, but it would be just about as good as any of the Warriors championships I've seen in my lifetime, if not better. Yeah. Go Niners. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Raiders fan by the way, guys. So I just have to. But I did want to. The reason I wanted Thomas to be able to say something, so I can also say something. I wanted to. I guess because they're not in the same conferences, because they're not rivals, I can. I'm not gonna be like rooting for the Niners necessarily, but I won't be hating on them. Like I will be an impartial, just observer. I just want to stop the hate for Brock Purdy because I hated on him too much. I said Geno Smith was better than him preseason, and like
Man, that is
I've
hilarious.
had this recently as like 2 weeks ago. So, you know, I just want to put on the record that Brock is better as of now. But
And what Brock Purdy did against the Bears this last I think was that it was Sunday night. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was
yeah,
Sunday night.
yeah,
Was I mean probably A, the best game of his career, and B, one of the best performances we've seen from any quarterback in the NFL this year in a single game.
it was
Uh,
necessary. He had to
if
do.
you are the kind of dumb person, and I'm not actually, I know this kind of sounds like I'm throwing shit at you, but I'm literally not because this is so common. If you're the kind of dumb person who said some like shit about Purdy being carried by the system or like, oh, he has the Avengers, anybody could do that. Shanahan, blah. You are a dumb person. You're just a dumb person. You don't know football. You don't know ball. You shouldn't talk about sports. Like you just don't know what you're talking about. And he's going to make you look even dumber over the next month or so. I can't wait.
So they're going all the way. That's your prediction.
They're going all the way. I'm telling you, this is like the narrative, the momentum, everything. It's just coming together.
I mean, I think it's going to come down to this Saturday. Like whoever wins. I mean, it's so crazy. Like this NFL season, like so many guys. Like at one point, it was like, okay, it's obviously the Rams are the best in the NFC. Then the Seahawks at some point. Now it's the Niners. I feel like it's the Niners. I don't know, there's so many good teams. This is gonna be a fire playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be hype.
This is the final week, right? This Saturday is the final
Final
game.
week,
For
final week. There's three questions still to be answered. It's kind of lame. They gave the Niners and the Seahawks the Saturday night, and they gave the Ravens and Steelers Sunday night. I guess it's probably Ravens and Steelers are both Steelers especially massive fan base. They're going after TV audience, but
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, we shall see. I guess we are. We'll. When do you want to review, or when do you want to record next? Because let's see. I think the next game for the Warriors is OKC on Friday.
I would
There's a game
say
on Saturday.
the our co-host who shall not be named gets back to the area that we live in that I can't say on the 5th, which is just about a week from now, which would give us an opportunity to record in person for the first time in forever and have all three of us for the first time in forever. So I'd say do it right about then.
Okay, so we could do like Tuesday potentially. And
Yeah,
record three
probably.
games. How about 4 games really? 'Cause that Saturday game, that Saturday football
Yeah,
game is what we
yeah,
will really be talking about. But yeah,
yeah. All right. Another great episode. Shout out us, by the way, keeping this thing alive while our unreliable third friend is nowhere to be seen. Uh, but yeah, uh, take care, guys.